What's up guys, Sparky here, and today I'm going to show you how to install a Lutron 4-speed fan control switch. So let me just show you my current setup. So right now we're controlling this fan with a single pole switch. So if I show you, when I turn on this one switch, it turns on the fan. The only thing is right now I can only control the fan with this little chain switch. So to make it more convenient, I'm going to install this 4-speed control switch, and I'm going to replace this single pole switch right here in the middle. So the first thing we want to do is identify what the switches are. So right now this controls some lights on the fan. This controls the actual fan. This controls a hallway light. Remove the cover and identify what kind of switches we have. As you can see, this is a 3-gang box, and then there's a remote on the side. You might wonder what this remote is for, but if I click this button, it turns on the recess light. I basically have a remote mounted on the wall that controls another smart switch, and this is just an easy way to control lights from multiple locations without having to rewire your whole house and install 3-way switches. If you want to know more information about this, leave a comment down below and I can make another video about it. But right now, this is the current switch cover I have. It's a Decora opening with 3 toggle switches, but I'm gonna change these all out to Decora so they can all be the same pattern. So I already purchased the 4-gang cover plate and 3-way switches. So to identify what type of switches we have, all we gotta do is look at the actual screws. So if you look right here, this switch has 3 screws. So this is a 3-way switch. It has 1 black color common screw, and then it has 2 brass screws. That's how you know it's a 3-way switch, which means it controls a set of lights or fans from 2 different areas. This is also a 3-way switch because there's 1, 2, 3 screws. And this right here is a single pole switch because we only have 2 screws that turn on and off the power. So we have a 3-way, a single pole, and another 3-way switch. This switch controls the fan light from 2 different areas. This 3-way switch controls the hallway from 2 different areas. And this controls the fan from only this switch. Before I mess with any of the switches, I want to make sure that the power is off. So let's verify that there's power using a pen tester. So for this situation, I'm going to use a Klein circuit tracer, and this will allow me to find the circuit in the panel. Basically the way it works, it's a transmitter and receiver. So I'm going to plug this transmitter into here, and then I just need to get a 120 power source. So with the switch on, I'm going to put the red alligator clip on the ground. And I'm going to put the black alligator clip onto the hot wire. So now I should have 120 on the transmitter, which I do. It says open ground, but of course, because I only have 2 alligator clips on it, while it's connected, I'm going to go and find the circuit outside in the panel. So out here in the panel, all these breakers are labeled, but we can't always trust the labels because sometimes they're wrong. So I'm going to use this receiver to try to find the circuit for those switches. As you can see, we have killed power to the switch because there's no lights on, and we could use the pen tester to verify that there's no more power. And sometimes in these switch boxes, there's multiple circuits, but in this case, everything inside the switch box is dead, so we can touch the switches now. If you don't feel comfortable working on electrical equipment, make sure you hire a licensed electrician to do this work. This is for educational purposes only. So I know that the middle switch controls the fan. So the first thing I want to do is move that over because I want the new fan switch to be on the very left side. The middle is going to be the fan light, and the very right side is going to be the 3-way switch for the hallway. So in order to install the new fan control switch, the hot wire is going to land on this black terminal. The neutral is going to land on the white, and our load, also known as our switch leg, is going to be feeding the fan with the yellow wire. The ground is going to be green. So for the single pole switch controlling the fan, I'm just going to come on the back side and cut the wires off and the ground because we're going to redo them. So we have one ground and two black wires. Now one of them's a constant hot wire and one of them's feeding the fan. So even if I get them mixed up, I can easily identify which one the constant hot is, and it's by following the wire. So if I follow one of the black wires, this black wire goes out of the box, so I know that that's feeding the fan. The other black wire is wire nutted with a bunch of other black wires. That is most likely our constant hot, because you bring one constant hot into the box and then you're able to feed all your switches. Our bottom black wire is the constant hot. The top wire is our switch leg feeding the fan, and our bare ground. It's painted white, but you can tell that it's bare copper. This is our ground. The smart switch usually comes with wire nuts, but I usually don't use them. I just use my own. These are made by 3M. We just call them orange and blue wire nuts. So to get this prepped, I'm gonna strip this away. Strip the hot, and then I'm gonna strip the switch leg. Our switch leg is gonna be the yellow wire, which is this one on top. Put a wire nut on it. This is our ground. I'm gonna see if I can get some of the paint off. Bare copper is ground. For the constant hot, I'm gonna strip it and make a loop. When you make the loop, you want it to face clockwise so that as you're turning the screw to tighten it, it's wrapping around the screw. And also you don't want the black insulation to be touching the terminal. You want it to be just only bare copper. And then our neutrals are gonna be way back here in the box. So we can pull the neutral out, and we'll land the neutral for the smart switch with all the existing neutrals. And if needed, you can strip it back a little bit. We can always cut the leftover wire. So we have our neutral, our switch leg, our ground, and our constant hot landed on our new smart switch. So we can go ahead and push everything back. If you don't have a volt claw, I would highly recommend it. You can use this plastic tool to push all these hot wires into a box without damaging them. I didn't want this video to be too long, so I didn't show how I replaced the three-way switch. But if you would like to see something like that, leave a comment down below. So one thing I wanted to note too is the new fan control switch. It has these tabs. If you only had one switch controlling the fan, you can leave the tabs on. But if you're gonna have the switch in place with other switches, you wanna cut off the tabs or bend them so that they can break off. For example, if you look here on the instructions, the two outer part of the switches, you leave the tabs on, but since you butt them up against another switch, you can bend the tabs and break them off. Same thing with the gang of 3 of these switches. You bend off all the middle tabs, and all the outer tabs you can leave on. So in this situation, I can bend off all the tabs because I have switches on both sides. If you want to, before you put the cover on, you can go ahead and test the switches to make sure they work, but I'm pretty confident that this is gonna work, so we'll go ahead and put the cover back on. Also, what I learned too, when you have a bunch of switches like this, you don't need to tighten them down too much. You can actually leave them a bit loose so that when you put the switch bank on, you can kind of manipulate the switches exactly where they need to be. So since I left the switches a little bit loose, whenever I go to put the plate on, they kind of slowly slide into place. And you can't always get it like super perfect, but as long as everything looks pretty squared, you know, you should be fine. And then when tightening these screws, you don't want to go too tight because you'll break the plastic. And also too, make sure that the screws are all uniform. I usually face them up, and that's what most electricians do. The good ones at least. So now we can go ahead and test the switches. So the remote we know works. That controls the fan. This should control the hallway. And this controls the speed of the fan. We have 4 different controls from low all the way to high. Now, one thing to keep in mind for the fan, you want to make sure that the chain is on the highest setting, and you're going to leave it on the highest setting because now it's going to be controlled off that switch. So right there, that's the highest setting. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it because I never have to touch it again. And now everything's going to be controlled off the fan switch. But that's not the best part. The best part is that I can use my phone to control that switch. So let me show you how to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and link up the new fan control switch to my existing house. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to settings. We're gonna click on add device. Now I'm gonna click what type of device I'm adding. So let's look at all the options. I'm adding a fan control switch. So it says press, or actually I need to scroll over to the original fan switch right here. So it says press and hold the bottom button for 10 seconds until the LED blinks quickly. So let me hold this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, they're flashing. Now it's asking what room. So I'm gonna put living room next. And now it's adding the device. So right now I just heard the fan turn off and the living room has been added. I'm done adding devices, and we can go ahead and check for the fan control. So it's finishing the setup, and then we can test it. So going to the living room, I click on ceiling fan, and now I can control the fan. So let's test it. So right now it's on high. I can turn it off. Let's try low, medium, medium, high, and high. There we go. And I can come to the fan and just make sure that it's turning on and off. So let's click off, and I heard the motor turn off for the fan. And I'm gonna click high, and I hear the fan turn on. And if I wanted to control the light on the ceiling fan, I can also add another switch, but for this house, I really only care about controlling the fan switch. Let me know if you want to see more of the Lutron system. I use this throughout the whole house to control all the lighting. In order for you to use the Lutron app to control all your smart switches, you're gonna need to buy a hub. The hub, I'll have it linked in the description. You should only need 1 hub per household, and you can link all your switches to the app. All right guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was very informative. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you comment below, and make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. Sparky Izzy, peace.